Hello and welcome to the Critically Clueless. Today I'm back in Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, and today's video is all going to be to do with the trader, how to start life as a trader, what to do, where to start, a couple of little tricks and tips. We're going to be looking at his perk tree as well, and the things that I would recommend picking up and why I recommend using them. If this is the kind of video that you want to see, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also comment your thoughts down below and let me know if you have a tip for being a trader that I haven't mentioned in this video. Now the first thing we should really do is check out the culture. And for the culture, there's really two obvious options. You've got the Azari and the Battanians. Both of these are great options. The Battanians are good because they got that extra bonus when it comes to actually moving through forest. This map is covered in forest, therefore it's a really good option to pick this one. The Azari has the option for moving across desert, which can definitely help out when trading that way, but it also gives you the 30% discount cheaper on caravans and a 10% less trade penalty. So that's what we're going to choose for this build. It is the optimal build if you're going to play as a trader. It's probably the way to go. Getting those caravans, getting those workshops as early as you can in a game is definitely kind of the point of what you're trying to do, and you'll find that your perk tree will actually help out quite massively when it comes to, you know, depending on which way you choose, caravan or workshop. Anyway, let's look at our actual life build. First of all, we have the family, and the most important two stats or things for us to keep in mind is we want social skill and we want trade skill. Now, social skill is an attribute point, and every 4 levels we get another attribute point, and the trade is our, you know, our focus point and what we can focus on. We get them a lot easier, so they're not necessarily the most important thing, but we're going to start life off as an urban merchant. As you can see, that gave us a point into social, and it also gave us that point into trade that we were looking for. And again, as we go through these options, we are on as a child you were noted for, and then you can pick accordingly. Now I like this one because it gives me the extra point into social. I understand it doesn't give me that focus point, but like I said earlier, focus points are actually a lot easier to come by than attribute points. So I kind of value the attribute point more than I value the social point. Of course, you guys can do whatever you want, but for this, I'm going to go with your way with people. That way I get that extra point with the social. It also gives me charm. Having more charm and being able to be more persuasive is definitely good for, you know, kind of that role play purposes as you're a trader anyway, and it does come with other bonuses. Next up, into adolescence, we're going to be doing exactly the same thing, trying to find out which one of these things gives us a point into social, a point into trade. And as you saw, it is in the markets and caravanners. This one gives us the social point and the trade point. It also gives us the charm point as well. So, you know, you get triple bubble. Now we've got our youth, and as you can see, not always you're going to be able to get anything for a social or for trade. Then you want to prioritize something that you want. I think having extra points into endurance is really important. It doesn't really matter what you do in this game. You need a good endurance. So getting points in endurance, getting points in horsemanship is probably what I would choose personally. Endurance is so important for athletics, for horse riding, and of course for smithing if you want to go down that route as well. But the horse riding is going to be really important. The athletics is the speed that you're moving across the battlefield and able to do other things. So again, that's very important too. Now, in young adulthood, doing this plan and picking what I've picked, we have another option as well. We could have picked up a trade point, but like I said, I like to prioritize those attribute points over the trade focus. So we're going to pick up an extra point. Now we've got 6 in social, which is absolutely awesome. Now, again, we have our story background. And again, we could pick up an extra point in our social, putting us up to 7 total. It really is up to you. I do feel like our other skills have been neglected a little bit too much. So I think I would favor more endurance here, or maybe even picking up, a focus in some kind of weaponry, because you are going to have to fight eventually as a trader, or you could just let all your men do the work. But either way, I do think having that high endurance is important. So that's what I'm going to go for. However, taking an extra point in social, bringing yourself up to 7 on that attribute point, I seriously understand and see why that would go well with this current build. So either or, it's up to you. I've made an argument for both, so let me know down in the comments what you think you would pick if you was in my shoes. So we've gone over the build entirely. Now we need to take a closer look at that perk tree. The perk tree is really important, obviously, and we're going to talk about how to actually boost up those points as quickly as possible. But we're also going to go through the perk tree entirely, going through each perk as you should pick it, why I feel like you should pick it, and what the benefits of both are. Now, the first thing that should be noted, of course, is that your focus points and your attribute points in, whichever tree you're trying to go through is the most important thing. If I had 5 focus points but only had 2 social points, it's really not going to help me. I'm not going to be able to complete that tree line. I'm not going to be able to buy myself a castle at the end of the tree. So make sure you have both. You're going to need high social and high focus points as you go through the game, as you progress through this tree. Hopefully I've made that make sense. If I haven't, let me know down in the comments. Now, the first perk we can get is Appraiser, which is a 15% decrease in selling penalty for equipment. And then, of course, you have the Wholesaler, which is a 15% decrease in trade goods. I would pick trade goods. Next up, we have a straight up choice. You're either going to go caravan or you're going to go workshop. Both have their benefits. Both have, their downfalls, but pick accordingly. If you're going to go workshops, go market dealer. If you're going to go caravans, go caravan master. Next, we have local connection. Your workshops gather trade rumors. So useful. Or you have traveling rumors. Your caravans gather trade rumors. Also, the caravans have a 15% decrease in buying penalty from villagers, whereas the local connection has the 15% decrease in sell price for penalty to do with animals. The next perk is really interesting and is another choice. You can either pay the villagers for entering your city or the caravans for entering your city. In general, I find you get more villagers enter your city, but of course, if you want to go caravans, you can do that as well. Neither one of them are a bad option. They're just an extra way for your cities to actually be generating more money. However, it does take a while to acquire that. And again, the next one, depending on whether you have gone caravan or workshop, it really is that easy. If you've gone caravans, you will get 1 renown per day. And if you've gone workshops, it would be exactly the same. Really is up to you. No wrong choice here. Next up, we have content trades or, of course, mercenary connections. Now, I love mercenary connections. This one for me is the way to go because it decreases the wages by 25% in mercenary troops. Next up, we have insurance plan or we have rapid development. So insurance plan, your caravan will return 5,000 gold when destroyed and also 25% decrease in buy price penalty from food. I quite like that one just for that bottom answer there. Or you have your workshops return of 5,000 when enemies captured the town. Or the 25% decrease in buying penalty for clay, iron, cotton, and silver. Now, for me, I buy more food. I feel like you can definitely sell and buy more of this item. So that's the one I would pick, as I feel like you get more out of that perk. And again, your next perk kind of suits your last perk depending on what you've picked. So you've got Granary Accountant or you've got Train Yard Foreman. Again, I would pick Granary Accountant. It gives you the 20% discount in sell penalty for food trades such as olives, fish, and grain. Either way, I would probably match it up with your last option as well. You got to think, long term, and you got to be thinking about what you're going to be actually specializing in. Next up, we have Self-Made Man, decrease barter penalty for items by 50%. That's actually kind of big. But I also like sword for barter. Hiring mercenaries is 20% cheaper, 15% lower wages for caravan guard troops. Again, if you've got a lot of caravans, this is probably where you want to go. Next up, we have Silver Tongue negotiating a passage, safe passage for barter is 50% cheaper. Caravans and villagers offer 15% better trade deals, which is actually kind of big. Or we have Spring for Gold. You gain 0.1% interest per day on gold you have. This is capped at only 1,000 per day, however, which is actually kind of big. Gold boosts in town projects are 20% more effective. Either or is up to you, but I think that Spring for Gold is a good little extra way to earn a little bit of extra money. And our last choice, we have a Man of Means or Trickle Down. Now, after having a look at both options, I feel that Trickle Down is the better one. It's the one that you're going to have the more money out of longer, because Trickle Down, you have gained one relation with a merchant, notable if you buy more than 10,000 gold worth of goods in the town. Now, when I go ahead and find a good product, I'm going to be spending a ton of money on that product. So buying in bulk is the way to go. And if you're going to buy in bulk, then Trickle Down is going to work for you. And afterwards, of course, then you've got everything has a price, and you can trade a settlement when you barter. In other words, you can buy a castle off a lord, which is absolutely brilliant. Of course, getting up to 300 skill level is going to take a very, very long time. You're going to have 5 skill points in focus points, and you're going to have a very, very high social. Okie dokie, so we have built a character. You've got an idea of what to build and pick when it comes to the perk tree, but where do you start? This map is absolutely gigantic, and I'm going to try and give you a few things to look at when it comes to where to start in the trade skill. Now, the one thing you're not going to have yet is trade rumors, but as you get caravans, as you get workshops, as you begin to make those profits in trade, you will start noticing the trade rumors. And once you get those, the game does become an awful lot easier. You just have to actually be a bit patient when it comes to being a trader. And as you get further in the game, you are able to make a serious ton of money. But of course, remember, being able to trade isn't as good as actually being able to have the goods and carry those goods. So a bit of a tip really is to look at horses, get as many horses as you can in a game, because the more horses and mules and stuff like that you actually have, the bigger your carry capacity is going to be. And having a large carry capacity means you're able to buy more grain, buy more fish, and buy more products to sell. And also when it comes to the horses, have a look around, because everything in this game has like a massive scale of the cheap and overly priced products. And that includes the horses that you're going to be using on the battlefields as well. So have a little look-see at that and make sure you're actually buying these products fairly cheap. But remember, the more horses you have, the more goods you're able to carry. I should, however, mention that if your horses or your horses actually outmatch the amount of troops that you have, the amount of men that you have, then that is going to affect massively your movement speed. So, try not to have too many horses that outmatch your men, or you're going to be getting a massive debuff in speed. Okay, so what should we be looking for? So if we have a look at this town here, you can see that they produce fish. They actually have a couple of little villages that produce fish. Therefore, we should be able to pick up fish for a fairly decent price here and then sell it in more of a landlocked city, because they, of course, won't have access to that fresh fish, and therefore you're able to sell it for a better price. At least that's the plan. You have to remember that this continent is an ever-evolving market. So my map and things that are going to be happening in my world are going to be slightly different to yours. Another thing to look at would be wood. Now, as you can see where we are right now, We have a city. We also have a number of villages producing wood. So if we pop into the city, go down to wood, you'll be able to see that you can pick up wood very, very cheap here. And that's the kind of general idea for the game. So you find products that are going to be, you're able to pick up very cheap. As you can see, we've got a trade room and it will tell me where I can sell this wood for a bit of a profit. Remembering, however, that if you look on the map and the town in which it's recommending you to sell it for the highest price is, more than a week's ride away, depending on the speed of you and your troops, then by the time you get there, that trade rumor could be old and they already may not need that wood. So keep that in mind when it comes to looking at those trade rumors. Look at the distance in which the city is from your current location. But those rumors are always changing. And so it's a good idea just to keep an eye on them and keep them in mind when buying things. But, rule of thumb is buy low, sell high. It's pretty simple, really. As you progress through the game, you'll start noticing it when you go over to shops and to trade, that certain items of yours will be highlighted in green, showing you that you're going to be making a decent profit from it. And of course, if you do make a profit from your own purchase, then you will earn experience. That experience will level up your trade skill. And that's the really key for this. It is about, making sure you actually earn that profit from something you have brought. If, for instance, you make something, you craft yourself 10 weapons and sell them, you're not going to be earning trade skill because that's just something you already have. However, if you buy fish at, say, $9 and then manage to sell it at 10 or higher, then you are making a profit and therefore you are making experience off that purchase. Now, I tend to find that things like fish, grain, silver, copper, those sort of things, butter, cheese, all that jazz will make good amounts of money. Flax as well is something you can pick up dirt cheap by an absolute abundance and sell on for a small profit. And it includes things like horses as well. In fact, horses are a great way to make money. Not only can you sell and buy the cheap ones, but there are some huge prices that you can get when it comes to the more exotic and rarer horses as well. Bear in mind that buying a high ticket item, it is and can be a little bit risky. However, a horse is always going to be pretty useful in your inventory until you find that perfect seller. Anyway, that's about all I've got for you in this video. Being a trader can be extremely profitable. Unfortunately, it has been highly nerfed since the initial release of Bannerlord, and so it does take a lot longer to get those riches from being a trader, but it's still totally possible. I would love to sit down and give you a definitive list of what to buy and at what price, but unfortunately all of our worlds are slightly different and therefore it's just not feasible. Hopefully I've given you enough tips and tricks to get through this game and get through it as a trader though. If you have any of your own, don't forget to comment them down below in the video. And of course, if you have enjoyed this video or learned something, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss out on more videos just like this. We do also have an active Discord and we're gathering more Bannerlord players. So if you want to join and have a chat about the game, tell me about your adventures or chat to some like-minded players, then the link for that will be down in the description. But I've been a monk, we've been Critically Clueless, and I will see you in the next video real soon. Until then, happy gaming.